corporate white coats in lab coats, Asian.
This place is not good. Dark energy here.
Guy in a lab, goggles and a mask.
Feels like it's created in a lab, being mixed and mutated.
Here's my ominous feeling session from 2017 of a coming virus. There's the facility right there.
Inoculate, infuse. So he's making something.
Bill Gates was...
This isn't the real final thing, though. This feels like it's a part stage towards something more perfected.
You're watching the FFG archives, uncovering our remote viewing debriefs from the vault, raw, unfiltered, and decades ahead of their time, now released for the first time on YouTube. Watch them all at futureforecastinggroup.com.
Okay, hello crypto fans. Dennis Nappy II here. We're just discussing this week's target. As I was saying a minute ago, it's a very relevant, very timely target that our viewers were blindly tasked to look at. Kilo 1 Ida 8, Robert 2 Kilo 1 was the target. I'm going to do the target reveal in a minute. Anybody have any other commentary before we take a look at what the target itself was?
Okay. Not yet.
Here we go.
Well, this will be an interesting discussion.
I agree. I'd like to say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm actually kind of dreading it. Here we go. This target here is the coronavirus. You were tasked to draw the virus. Where was it created? Was it weaponized? Does it target specific ethnicities of people? Then we're looking at which countries will have medical curfews, medical martial law by June 1st, 2020, just a few months away. So there's our tasking document. I'm curious to hear your data on that. Anybody want to volunteer to go first to share their sessions? Okay, no volunteers. I'm just going to go in the order of my screen. Daz, you got the biggest smile. You're up, buddy.
Damn. Okay. Well, I did two, but the first one was a bit mixed, so I kind of exited it early. So I started off on session one with lots of energy, which was complex and moving, vibrational, and it felt alive. I knew there was a person involved who was very emotional, surprised, and shocked. And they were part of an event. And then I tried to draw the target, and I had this, it just looked like an organic type thing there. The rest of the session wasn't really good on number one, so I'll go to the second session where I tried to look a bit more at this organic thing because I felt that was important. So I tried to expand it here, and then I did this drawing of it, and it wrapped up, and I felt it was organic and microscopic. I got this like bubbly kind of shape to it there, and saying it loves sugar for some reason.
Huh. Sounds like cancer.
Yeah, it did a little bit, yeah. Then there was a life involved, and he was having some symbiosis with this life form. So, I went straight into an AOL there of coronavirus.
Symbiosis is an interesting statement, though, because that means it would be mutually beneficial.
Does it mean beneficial, or does it just mean they're working together in some way? I don't know.
Well, yeah, like a symbiotic relationship. They are working. It's not harmful to the host.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about then.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, some people may be carriers. And
maybe the super carriers. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So then I had I asked Edward. I asked Ed. Because I had some problems with my first session. He sent me some questions to ask, so I asked some questions here, like who created it. I had these males, corporate white coats in lab coats, Asian, a team from a pharmaceutical business. Also, I got there at the bottom. A team of at least 3, all similar build looks, Asian, 28 to 38. They're dedicated, busy. They're in a modern, white, clean environment. Feels urban. Feels like it's in the center of a large city. The location feels shockingly central, very urban. It's in a major city in Asia, sovereign, and it's on the coast. It's very high tech. They're looking for something. They're looking for something to do with regeneration. And this feels like it's a byproduct or a mistake, an accident, and then it's kind of leaked out, or it feels like it was stolen. I felt. I sense a feel of panic, and they're hiding something. I feel like this is an early version or a broken version or not complete version of something. It feels like it's created in a lab, and it's being mixed and mutated with lots of living things. And I tried to draw a what here. I got it's just puffy. This thing seems like it was discarded in the process some way. Feels like it's a half stage to something else, which is why it causes a problem. And I asked, what is this problem? I got something about absorption, something about eating, energies and conversion. It's problematic, it's chaotic, and it's not final enough.
I wonder if that's tied into the sugar, Daz.
Quite possibly, yeah, quite possibly. And I've got here some more notes. This feels like it's man-created, microscopic organism. The intent behind this does not feel nefarious. It does feel nefarious, sorry.
Okay.
There is a feel of both business and competition, some kind of conflict and warfare with this. This isn't the real final thing, though. This feels like it's a part stage towards something more perfected.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Does that mean there's a final thing coming, anticipated? Did you get that sense?
I don't think I'm not sure if I went that far ahead with it. It just feels like it was something they were working on but not finished, and yeah, it's not a finished version.
Okay.
So I got where, who here, and it's man-made, Asia, China. Is it a weapon? Not yet, but could be when finalized. Is it targeted towards ethnicities? Not yet, but can do eventually. I think I've got, is there any restrictions? Yes, there's some temporarily, but they'll be fixed soon. And there's a feeling of a lot of subterfuge with this target. It feels like it's got a military and corporate restricted access component to it. Someone is gathering a ton of useful data just on how this is spreading. It feels like it's something to do with light exposure, and it can be destroyed within explosion, but I don't know what that's about. Did I have any more?
Daz, your movement directions there, was that coming from you, or were you tasked with those?
No, that was coming from me, I think. I don't know, I can't remember.
Okay, because I mean that's spot on to what you were asked to look at, which is interesting.
This feels like an energetic bubble of micro substances, proteins and alike. It's manipulated. It's a broken stage of something. It's being developed further. It's not working fully yet. Feels like it's an accidental reaction. The men behind this are educated, methodical, scarily non-emotional. They work in an urban city. Feels like it's a corporation or a business. And there's a team of at least 3 top men. They're Asian, with dark hair, middle-aged. Some of them are American educated. They've been selected for this, and they're highly paid. Feels like they're well on the way to something worse, something more defined, something more potent and specific. They feel contracted, as if they're working for a client. And the end result on this feels like it's something to do with triggers, temperature, and something called a fizzle rate, but I don't know what that is. And I just my final note was I'm stopping here because it feels kind of scary, and I'm not too sure if I was front loaded with some of the questions or not that I had in the first session.
Okay.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. It sounds a little bit terrifying, Daz.
Yeah.
Possibly future weapon that they're looking at, and they're gathering a lot of data on that which would make sense, seeing how it works, seeing how, I mean, they're getting a great, from an intel standpoint, they're getting a great measure of how different countries are prepared and how they're responding to it.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff that's coming out. I mean, I literally just this evening I had some stuff come through about how a lab in China is been thought of as being, it's been kind of pointed out as being the host source for this now, and it's a government lab as well. So
it's one of 2 labs in China that works on their it's in Wuhan, where they're biochemical warfare or biological warfare laboratory. There was some discrepancy about it. The guy, I think, was a former Israeli intelligence officer for something like 20 years, and they were trying to discredit him. But when you listen to the guy's credentials, 'cause he's the only one that made that claim initially, that's where it came from.
Yeah, this is what I'm reading tonight. Sudden militarization of the P4 lab raises new questions about the origin of the virus. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that kind of tallies with the data I was seeing.
There's drips and drabs coming out, but coming from the former intel officer, I mean, he's got strong credentials. He's got a PhD in like virology or something, and he says nothing. I think the UN even said nothing confirmed, but it's suspected that, or the CIA report that that this was a biological warfare laboratory.
Yeah,
that came out a couple years ago. They said that.
There's some scary stuff like that. I don't know if you guys saw as well, but that billionaire on YouTube did a video yesterday, and he says there's 50,000 dead in China, 1.5 million infected, and 250 million people under quarantine.
A billionaire on YouTube.
Yeah, well, he's a billionaire from China, but the video of him actually saying this on a news media channel is on YouTube.
Wow, I have to look for that.
It's I can share your screen. It's this one here.
Okay. See, I just wonder how much of this is propaganda, fear tactics, scare them up. We don't know. Who knows? Maybe the other viewers have some data on that. But,
Well, it's scary. It's scary. Like literally a few hours before I came online here, just looking at the news, and it was on the BBC News that China got its figures wrong, and today they just added another 14,000 cases.
In one day, I saw that. They also said there's new diagnostic tools too. But
the U.S. news is severely downplaying this.
Horribly.
They're reporting much less numbers than you're seeing through Twitter or any of the other feeds. So, we don't know. But I wouldn't trust our media, so
no.
It's spreading quite fast here in the UK. Within a day, and they're only small figures. They went from like 4 to 9 people in a day.
Yeah, but that's a day. That's more than doubled in a day.
We watch Korean news here in our house. Mimi has the Korean news on, and they have so many coronavirus stories. It's like it's almost wall-to-wall coverage there. It's not even mentioned on, there's no news on cable anymore in America. No. But
and if they went from 4 to 9 cases with an incubation time of 14, I'm even hearing 28 days incubation time, then who knows what's going to happen in the coming
years. Here in the UK, we had a doctor had it, and of course the doctor in the UK sees hundreds of people a day. So they literally had to shut down 2 days ago. They had to shut down a surgery, and because he'd been seeing kids in schools, they had to shut down 2 schools and test all the kids at all the schools and everything.
Wow, that's scary.
Let's see the rest of the data, and then we'll do the discussion.
Okay, let's move to Dr. Doom, also known as Edward Reardon. Story for us.
Dr. Doom. Well, this was very, going through the feedback here, familiar to me. Felt massive. I felt something massive, energetic, moist. And I was seeing this cloud, large cloud of particles, massive cloud. This is big, massive in scale or scope, blinding outside, inside. My EI, familiar, something I know or know of, large scale, like a wind of small particles, small things on a massive scale. Watch out, it's in the wind, man. This thing was coming at somebody here, and it was creepy. In the wind, in the air, a carrier agent, like a blanket of particles to watch out for. Beware, it's like the creeping death. Get away. This guy's choking and dying. This is like a biblical creeping death, like a cloud that slowly moves in under people's feet, like death or the grim reaper is coming for you. Is it radioactive or toxic waste, I'm wondering? Move to the origin of this cloud and describe near water or something in a mist. Bad water, toxin added, I'm wondering. Reminds me of something out of a chemistry lab that is saturated that has saturated the ground and soil and is breathing itself into the air and onto and into people and things.
Hey,
what is it?
Edward, real quick, if I can interject, I did read an article where they suspected it was traveling through the sewage pipes in one apartment building because they couldn't explain any other way of transmitting it, which would go through the water.
Wow. Well, that you got it, man. What is the chemistry? A chemistry lab coats, bio readings, plants, animals, developing toxins, toxic chemicals, biohazards. What is the molecule? I wanted to know. A biolocator came in. Tangible biolocator. I'm wondering, what is that? What is that? Who's doing this and what's that all about? What is a biolocator? I'm wondering here. Something for a simulation, like an army exercise.
Shit.
A simulation exercise for monitoring results. Game of function exercise, I'm wondering. Biolocator, like being able to detect someone or monitor them, and it felt like a very strange molecular structure, like a biohazard, it felt like. And this was my hazard sign here. A lethal dose. Stay away from this. A small amount could be lethal. Liver damage, kidney damage, lung, throat damage. And in this facility here, weapons facility, I'm wondering, toxic warfare, chemical lab, biolab, lab rats. This place is not good. Dark energy here, bad molecules are here, cutthroat people. This is a bad place. Oh yeah, this reminded me of the Atlantean black goo or the Atlantean black ooze. Do not enter this place. And this reminded me of my ominous feeling session.
Yeah,
With
which
the
I know
same
you were
facility.
comparing that to this virus. The
Same facility.
biomarker is interesting, Edward. You know, I'm wondering if this is something where there's tech out there that can detect who's carrying it.
Well, don't they? Yeah, probably. But they got some kind of testers are doing with. Well, that's a temperature.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. Just temperature is the only
thing. The only thing there.
But I'm curious with your data if there's something else in it for whoever maybe gets it and doesn't die from it. Maybe it leaves them some kind of tracer or some kind of indicator in there.
This is bad news. This is creeping death.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
It's coming for us. I hope I'm wrong too. This was a creepy session.
Well, let's move to Dick. I'm hoping he has some really happy news about cures and people.
Yeah, I got two little girls playing with Barbie dolls and with lollipops. All right, let's get right to it. First thing I saw was two people. Next, I had for a visual ideogram, this is unusual because it was colored. I saw people inside in a big place, and it had a really interesting decor to me. Bright colors of red and gold and things hanging down. And let me stop this and just, what I saw was like big pillowy colors, drapes or like curtains hung, big curtains in red and gold. Okay, so in people inside. So let me show you that again. So that's how I drew it. I want you to look at the Communist Party headquarters in China.
Oh, great.
See what you think. Okay. Continuing on. Person, complex, semi-hard, man-made, dynamic, complex, semi-soft, natural, dynamic, man-made. Okay. I was in land, and then the thing that all of a sudden struck me was people walking on foot. I could hear crunching sounds. Barrier, no pass. People in a vehicle being turned away. And these barriers felt hastily erected.
That actually happened too, Dick. There's small towns in the outskirts of Wuhan that were trying to put up barriers and actually destroying roads to prevent people from escaping the city and coming into these small villages.
Okay, so I have people with in uniforms, no pass, no go, blockade, barricade, crudely built, stuff stacked up, people walking, city in the background. road blocked off, feet on gravel, people speaking, pleading, authority, authoritative. Okay, and then the next thing, this I really popped on. Hang on.
Uh-oh, he's got it.
You got it through the remote viewing.
You catch it through remote viewing now.
He caught it.
Beware.
I really popped to target. Here I go. As I was looking at people, I closed my eyes, and there were two long tables, counters, excuse me, with stainless steel. Let me show you I'll show you the, stop choking. So these two stainless steel counters with like beakers and stuff, glass cabinets, long room, clean, sterile, sounds of people, stuff, being set down, rattle, clicking, smells of chemicals. It smelled like a dentist's office to me. Clinical. Surfaces are important. Open, unlock, it's locked. Important research, long tables made of stainless steel, shiny, clean, lots of glass. So this felt like a lab. Next, I looked at land, urban near a river, eerie quiet, smog, bad smells, decay, thick haze, bad air. That's Edwards. Bad air,
Yeah.
grayish, brownish haze, unhealthy, bad feeling, death, corona. Then I had a guy in a lab, goggles and a mask. Breathing is measured, dentist office smell. He's measuring, inculcate, intubate, what's the word? Intubate, inoculate, infuse. So he's making something. Has feces came to me, cold temperature control, feeder flask. I haven't looked at this data since I collected it. Chinese, but he doesn't work for the Chinese government. Drip, 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 drips fluid into a vial or two. And then I saw somebody being executed by AK-47. So they're blind with rage from this person. Kneel, handcuffed, shot with AK-47. Boom. I felt the emotion of just this raw terror, penalty, retribution, punish. Like, did somebody make a mistake or get caught letting the, I just heard that some of the officials in Wuhan were relieved of duty, like they were replaced. Yeah. I wonder if they were taken out and shot.
Huh.
Didn't the initial whistleblower, he ended up dead too.
He's dead. The doctor, yeah, he died this week.
But my takeaway from this session, like what I really got was barricades, and I didn't get where. I thought initially I was in Western U.S., like high desert.
I hope not.
But barricades, and then that laboratory, the stainless steel, I was there, and the glass beakers and stuff. Then the guy measuring, doing something, and then the execution. Somebody was like, okay, take him out and shoot him.
The guy that was shot there, was this in the news today?
Huh.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So this data, our data here, when we're doing, your data is over a week old. Mine was, what's the date on mine? Mine's been, I did it 5 days ago. So, okay, interesting.
So let me just ask a question then. What are the chances that some of this is somehow front-loaded and spilled in from our fears and things we've been watching in the media? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely possible.
That can always happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all three sessions do have spookily, eerily similar data in there about looks like a manufacturer of this. It's not like an act. The official story is that this comes from someone, some kind of weird animal.
Yeah.
But that's not what any of the session data is showing in any way.
So
the official story also says that in Wuhan is a biolab where they were infecting bats with a novel coronavirus that suddenly ended up on a slab at their local market. And oh gee, how did that happen? It's like, can you get more obvious?
So based on this data, based on the sessions that you guys did, what's your reaction to this virus now, to the hype? I mean, are you going to do anything differently? Are you going to stock up on your preps? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I already have. I'm knee deep in cans of beans and rice, storable food. I have a water filter on the way. We've got bottled water. I've got 4 to 8 pounds of vitamin C, ascorbic acid powder, liposomal, colloidal silver generator on the way. I have colloidal silver. I have good quality vinegar. We were going to do a segment, we will pretty soon, on steps you can take. But, just looking at this would be interesting to get rudimentary analysis, because the corroborating data of science in lab coats, laboratory created it all, we all had that.
Yeah.
Nobody had bat soup.
No,
So,
you're right. Ed, what's your thoughts on this one? After looking at the data and hearing the debrief.
Well, it was a very interesting target. I know a lot of our Patreons had asked about it. So it was something that we felt it was important to at least take a look at and see where it's at, because as we discussed before the sessions were revealed, what's real and what's hype. Nobody's getting a clear picture as to what's going on and what it's doing, and that's why we asked some of the questions. We wanted to see, is this something that was it weaponized? And is it targeting specific ethnicities? Are some people more vulnerable than others?
Right.
Has it been engineered for certain things? Is this a test run? And where is it going to spread in the future? So because there's all there's all sorts of estimations all over the map. I've been getting lots of concerned Patreons coming in and asking questions and speculative numbers. How it's going to extrapolate over the coming months. So, it's all over the place. Me personally, I don't weigh in one way or the other, because we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's the question. We know we have other data. We've done some remote viewing sessions on the crash of the dollar, which is eventually going to happen. The financial system, the whole basis of what we're doing is based on the financial system is in transition to cryptocurrency. And there's going to be an event where the old system dies and the new system comes out. And we've been told by other sources that it will not just be blamed on a crash of the system itself. The bankers aren't going to admit that, oh, well, we built this thing, this house of cards, and it just collapsed. There's going to be something to blame it on. Would this be it? If you look at cities around the world under a lockdown like Wuhan, that would have to crash the economic system.
Yeah.
I would think. I mean.
Yeah. Well, right after the Super Bowl, we were supposed to be looking at a down market. The Friday, the 31st, the U.S. stock market was down over 600 points. And everyone had been anticipating that since China, the markets were going to be closed for a week or so, that we were going to have the ramifications ripple over to markets around the world.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that. So when the markets opened on the 3rd, they were up 300 some odd points. And they've been completely unaffected. So are they, obviously we know it's manufactured. So at what point are they going to let this, let the rug under, just pull it out?
Just for our Patreon people, this is not investment advice, as always, but guess who was on the phone to their 401k last week? I took a big piece out. I'm putting it in cryptos. The check is in the mail. I got to go check my mail. It might be there. I'm putting it in with Will Lair, Perpetual Assets, a large. I'm going in now. When that weekend, when we thought the market was going to collapse and China had collapsed, I was real skittish. Oh, man. But we all have some cryptos, right? If you have some cryptos, you're going to survive this better. So.
Well, Daz, didn't you sent out that article just about a week ago saying that if anyone owns one Bitcoin, they're going to be in an entirely different
fraction.
Yeah. Status, their class. They'll be in the elite status. I think that was the premise of the article.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting. Bitcoin on its own is getting lots of real good, huge press, especially since it went up above 10K. It's got all the financial people are starting to look at it quite seriously again now.
Yep. Well, and I mean, this is a perfect environment for them to blame it on. Oh, it was transmitted through fiat, paper, currency. So at that point, that would be a real great reason to get rid of paper, burn it all, and move to a digital system where there is no human interaction.
Yeah.
Well, that was some interesting session work for the Patreon people. You see how remote viewing can be used and how 3 different viewers get 0 on the target differently. Daz was at the level of the virus itself. Edward was big picture of the spreading air, and I had the people. So, but all essentially agreeing. That was a good example of how remote viewing can be used. I feel the targeting was a little complex. You want to, we probably could have done a couple targets. Like one would be the origin of the coronavirus creation. And then another one would be like, let's look at a major city 2 months from now and see if it's under lockdown. But it was pretty good stuff. I mean, very, very interesting, worth considering, and not too rosy.
It's definitely worth everyone keeping on the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dad. Go ahead, Dad. You were saying something?
I was just saying it's definitely worth everyone out there keeping an eye on how this develops, because it could go either way at the moment.
Yeah.
Here's that familiar feeling. That there was a familiar feeling. Here's my ominous feeling session from 2017 of a coming virus. And there's the facility right there, where the virus comes out. And here it is here. There's my familiarity.
Do you think the ominous feeling is the same as Corona, Edward?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know you talked about that on your YouTube channel.
Without a doubt.
That was that was almost like an intelligent something that was created, correct? Was that the one with the fibers and?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm getting some more. Somebody just sent me some information about what the virus looks like inside, the strands inside of the virus.
Yeah.
And what it looks like inside of that little fuzzball.
Because you had something that sounded almost like like an biological AI Morgellons disease, if I remember correctly.
Well, I didn't say the Morgellons.
You didn't name Morgellon, but I remember thinking it sounded like that.
It was a deadly pathogen that came out of a frickin' lab.
Yeah.
Just like that one.
And I think what's interesting is that you picked up on a signal, a broadcast that was sent out, and that's how you got it. Now here we are facing possibly,
Guys,
Two and a half years, and finally it's caught up.
can I share something?
Sure.
So you're going to really, this is going to be an interesting one. So this was a series in the UK back in the 70s called Survivors.
Huh.
It's all about an Asian scientist who releases a bioweapon, and so this has been out in consciousness for quite a long time, and it's still out there. So here, this is the cover of the DVD, the BBC series. It's still out there, so it's interesting, but they've seeded this quite a long time ago.
Ed, I think to follow up on that, right when the Wuhan virus, the virus broke out of there, this came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
A show called Pandemic: How to Prevent an Outbreak. Here's the headline right here: Netflix drops pandemic docu-show amid Wuhan crisis. That's just an odd coincidence with that timing.
Can you put that up again, Ed?
Sure.
The back one. Okay.
Yeah, I know, Dick.
Okay. So
Looks like your guy in the lab.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and one of our friends was pretty spooked by that one session illustration.
I'll put that back up.
Oh, geez.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that you're reviewing that movie? Because this is kind of feedback for you right now. I'm trying to find some shreds of hope here.
Well, just because we're looking at it, it might not get much worse than it is. But it's pretty bad. It's like, what is it? Tally today, nearly 1,400 deaths. That's pretty big, I guess.
They're saying the flu still kills more, but I don't know if that's just one of those things they're putting out there to downplay it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the question: Are the crematoriums really working nonstop at capacity in China? Is that true or is that false? That's what we keep hearing.
There was something in the news yesterday showing a CO2 cloud over Wuhu or something.
So they're burning them, and that's creating the fog that Edward was looking at in his
that would be
his session.
Death.
The pollution, they've got no restriction on emissions.
Yeah, their pollution's pretty bad over there.
So they're burning everything that they can get their hands on. So whether or not that's a real signature because of burning bodies is something that hasn't been corroborated. So.
Oh shit!
It's out. The virus is out.
They're corroborating data.
I'm recording. I'm still on.
Alrighty.
Okay. I'll call you later. Bye. That was the dear wife. Got to answer. So, Ed, what are we gonna we're gonna release this to certain levels at Patreon or?
We will. I think we will. It's important. Obviously, you guys had extraordinary target contact. I wasn't surprised when you came back with your first illustrations, man. Looked like you were drawing it right from the picture.
Yeah.
But all of you had really very significant target contact. So we are going to release this, and we may investigate a little bit further. So sometimes with some of these initial targets, hey, listen, we got to start somewhere. So we throw some shit up against the wall, and we want to see what sticks. Right? So you guys you got a lot of data. We gathered a lot from this session. We may revisit it at some point. I don't know when, but we will, our patrons wanted to hear about it, so it was important for us to address this at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Do we go ahead
And just to reiterate, we haven't done any. Have we done current events targets? Very, very few if we've done any.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Not publicly, no.
I mean, more so the politics, the election. There's been a few here and there, but nothing that's substantially in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did the Seattle target right beforehand, but that was right. Internal. Released later, but that was kind of an experiment on our end, just to see a marker. So interesting, a lot to learn from it, I'm sure. Well, again, I love you guys, but I hope you're really wrong on this.
Yeah.
Time will tell, I guess. If we ever get to know it being the spread being in a communist country and everything, it's hard to get real news.
And that's the caution I want to exercise with. I see a lot of stuff being shared, and it's people falling out of cars and people in masks coming in. Like, they wear masks in China all the time. We don't know how recent that footage is, if it's related to corona, but these videos are coming out and they're being labeled as coronavirus. Look how they're treating these people, and everybody's dying. That could be true, but in a country that's locked down as tight as China, I think it's pretty interesting that all of a sudden we're getting all these leaked videos of people in the streets falling down.
Yeah.
That's a red flag for me. Maybe I'm just holding on to hope, trying to be skeptical.
Well, there are so many witnesses. There are so many videos of this coming out that how could you possibly fake all of it?
With a
you can't.
Country like China, I think that I'm gonna take the extreme measure here, and that could be a massive deception campaign. They have the resources to put out a production that would do that. I mean, it's just Hollywood.
Yeah, but these there are people in many countries who have got the virus. So
yes,
it's not just in China.
The virus is legit.
Like like Daz was saying, they got 9 over there confirmed.
Yeah.
9 confirmed over there. Who knows how many are unconfirmed? But they're in a lot of different countries, so it's outside of the totalitarian stronghold.
But are we seeing the same deaths outside of China that China's reporting? I don't think and we may just be behind the curve. So in 2 weeks, we may start seeing those numbers. If not, I would say maybe there's some kind of propaganda here for whatever reason they're trying to manipulate. Who knows what?
Well, it did get all those protesters off the streets.
Yeah,
that's one way to clear them off.
There were several million protesters on the streets wanting democracy. They're not there anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I predict the next virus will be called the Antifa virus.
Yeah.
A thumbs up.
Well, one of the interesting things is, obviously, we know corona means crown.
Yeah.
So apparently there is a UK biotech company that has a US-based patent on the coronavirus.
Yeah, from 2003, right?
Something, yes, and I believe there was connections and ties for funding from Bill and Melinda Gates.
Oh, there's a surprise. I think that was initially for SARS. They were trying to patent it so then they could make the vaccine for it and make money off of it.
Yeah, but just last year, I think it was, Bill Gates was at some conference or whatever it was, but it was about a coronavirus, and he gave all the participants little stuffed coronavirus dolls. Let me look that up. I heard about that. Let me look it up.
Weird. Virus swag. How awesome.
Yes.
So do you think they were infected?
Interesting.
Anyway, if you get a chance, it's definitely worth watching that video from the billionaire, the Chinese billionaire, on what he's saying about it.
Can you email that to us, Daz?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post that along. If there's any links or anything, guys, we'll make sure that we post all of that in the post on Patreon. So, and I'll even put a link up to that 1970s BBC series, Survivors,
Yeah.
which we featured the Chinese chemist that Dick so clearly illustrated.
Drew. Yep.
Okay, well, that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
can't find it, but we'll have to find that article about Bill Gates talking about a coronavirus and the dolls.
If you do find it, please send it forward to me, and
I
I'll
will.
include that. So thanks, guys. Great work as always, and we'll keep everyone posted.
Yeah.
And to our Patreons who are watching this, what do you got? Send it to us. We're scrambling for information as well, and you guys often have the pieces that we need, and we have the pieces that you need. So share it with our community, because I think that makes us gives us much better odds when we keep those lines of communication open.
Yeah.
And be skeptical. I can't say that enough. Be skeptical, because there's a lot of propaganda out there on top of this as well.
And Dennis, may I add one thing? We had a request to have some Telegram groups set up for private correspondence for our Patreon group, and after careful consideration, we have decided to decline opening those accounts, only because Telegram is a monitored channel and it is not truly private.
Yeah.
So there are certain groups and factions that have access to Telegram. So we would not truly be in a private environment. So we are going to wait for our website so that we have the ultimate control over what we discuss and whom we let in.
Smart move. Okay.
So thank you for the suggestions. We did look into it very seriously, but there's our response for that. So thank you, Maggie.
Excellent. Okay, Ed, thanks for that update. And to our viewers, excellent job. Certainly made for an interesting conversation. A lot for us to think about. At the end of the day, it can't hurt to make sure that you're prepared, that you have extra storage of food, your first aid supplies, everything you need to ride it out. I'd say for at least a month, just in case a worst case scenario happens. Just be prepared. Can't hurt. So on behalf of the remote viewers, Ed, the rest of the crypto viewing team, I'm Dennis Nappy II. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.
Subscribe today for full access to our massive archive of remote viewing debriefs. The past, the present, and the future, only at futureforecastinggroup.com.